We have all heard news of people living in abusive relationships and unable to get out of them. Sometimes such relationships end up in the most unimaginable way possible: murder. And when such incidents come to light, they shock everyone. The story of Lisa Cecilia Harnum and her boyfriend, Simon Gittany, is one such case where one partner did the unexpected to the other. So, what happened to Lisa Harnum? What led to the events that were unbelievable for her family and friends? And how was Simon Gittany part of this whole story? Watch this video until the end to find the answers to all these questions and learn about some of the most chilling details of the Lisa Harnum case. Lisa Cecilia Harnum, an extroverted, energetic, and confident woman, grew up in Toronto, Canada, and loved dancing. She was so passionate about it that she started performing ballet at a very young age. Lisa also loved experiencing new things in life. Therefore, in 2005, when she was 24 years old, she decided to say goodbye to Toronto and move to Australia. New to the country, Lisa's initial stay in Australia was on a 12-month work visa, but she soon managed to extend her stay in the land down under by finding a job at Australian Hair and Beauty College in Sydney. It was the perfect job for Lisa, since she had a keen interest in fashion and beauty trends. Lisa had always been close to her family, and this didn't change after her moving to Australia either. She would regularly call and message her mother Joan to share about her life thousands of miles away from Toronto. Lisa's family had always been supportive of her decision, and they supported her in her decision to permanently move to Australia too. 4 years after moving to Australia in 2009, Lisa left her residence and was in search of a new place to live in Sydney. This was when she was introduced to Simon Gittany, the man who would play the key role in Lisa Cecilia's story. A friend introduced Lisa to Simon as a potential roommate who was 10 years older than her and was a businessman. From luxurious suites to the latest cars, Simon's lifestyle matched Sydney's upper class. He imported high-end footwear from the United States and sold it online in Australia for a good profit. While updating her mother about her new accommodation arrangement, Lisa told Joan that it was temporary and she would move to her own place as soon as she found a good one. Lisa also told her mother that it was completely safe to move in with a stranger because Simon wasn't even interested in women. Soon, Lisa moved to Simon's apartment on the 15th floor of a luxury high-rise building called the Hyde. The unit truly showed what luxury looked like. Its floor-to-ceiling windows gave an exclusive and direct view of the famous Hyde Park in Sydney's business district. Things went as usual for 2 months before Lisa and Simon developed a romantic relationship. Lisa told her mother about dating Simon and also said that she had a good relationship with Simon up until that point. But she never mentioned that she was in love with Simon. As time passed, the relationship also progressed, and the couple grew closer. This setting went on for nearly 2 years before things got even more serious. In June 2011, while celebrating Lisa's 30th birthday at a restaurant, Simon proposed to Lisa in front of a large gathering that included his family and friends too. Lisa was very happy and accepted Simon's proposal, but this would all change very soon. Just 6 weeks after a memorable birthday, on the 30th of July 2011, Lisa locked herself in the bathroom of their 15th floor apartment. She then called her mother and begged her to come to Australia and get her away from Simon Gittany. Yes, the same man whom Lisa had been living with for nearly 2 years and who had proposed to her just a few weeks ago. Joan, being a mother, immediately applied for leave from work so she could go to Australia to help her daughter. She also told Lisa to instantly get out of the apartment with her handbag, which she had already packed, and her passport. But before Joan could finalize her arrangements and depart to Australia for her daughter's rescue, she was informed by the Toronto police that Lisa Cecilia Harnum had died. So, what exactly happened on the 30th of July? Around 10 in the morning, screams started coming out of Simon and Lisa's 15th floor balcony in the Hyde. Coincidentally, an exchange student from Japan and his brother were walking by the building to Liverpool Street to catch a bus home. While waiting for the bus, the Japanese student was facing the Hyde with a clear view of the balcony of the unit where Lisa and Simon lived. He soon heard a noise from the balcony on the 15th floor. When he looked up, he saw something horrific. A body fell down from the building while a shirtless man stood on the balcony gazing down. When the other people on the street also heard the screams, they rushed to the building, and Lisa Harnum's body was lying in front of the building. Soon, the medics and the police rushed to the scene, but Lisa couldn't survive the impact of falling from the 15th floor. Besides Lisa, her handbag was also lying on the scene. She was fully clothed, except for a shoe that was likely to have dislodged from the fall. While the investigators were searching Lisa's clothes and her handbag, they found a torn note in her pocket that read, "There are surveillance cameras inside and outside the house." The apartment did have security cameras that captured the moments when Lisa fell. The footage showed a distraught Simon rushing to call a lift. He then briefly went inside and came back in the hallway when the lift had arrived. He had put on a shirt now. Shortly, the lift reached the ground level and Simon rushed outside, just as he had rushed inside it a while ago. When the police interrogated Simon about the cameras, he told the investigators how to operate them, but he didn't tell the police anything about the hard drive that stored the footage from these cameras. And by the time the police knew about the hard drive, it had mysteriously disappeared. The cameras had indeed captured everything that went on in the apartment just before Lisa's fall. One of the cameras, directed at the front door, showed something shocking. It showed Lisa attempting to leave the apartment, but before she could do that, Simon forcefully pulled her back inside. This happened an estimated 65 to 69 seconds before Lisa fell to her death and showed that a heated argument had taken place between the couple. Simon Gittany also admitted this. When Lisa and Simon's neighbors on the 15th floor were interviewed by the police, they reported hearing screams coming out of the couple's unit. One of the neighbors said they heard Lisa crying and shouting, "Please help me, God, please help me." One neighbor's door was also banged on, but soon there was complete silence on the floor. According to Simon's account, the argument began when Lisa told him she had a secret to reveal, but would not disclose it. But things soon cooled down, and Simon went to the kitchen to make tea for his partner. He once again asked Lisa about the secret that she wasn't telling him. It was at this point that Lisa ran to the balcony that was connected to her bedroom. He further told the authorities that he believed Lisa was just scaring him, as she would usually do such things in times of disagreements. Recalling a previous incident, he shared that Lisa had once opened the door to a fast-moving car and threatened to jump out, and one time she did leap out of the moving car, but the car wasn't traveling at high speed. Simon told police that after climbing over the treadmill onto the balcony, Lisa then climbed over the railing. She thought she was on top of the awning directly below and believed it was leveled with the balcony floor, but it wasn't the case, and she slipped. Lisa did try to recover while Simon ran to her, grasping over the edge, but before he could get a good hold of her, she fell to her death. An anguishing Simon then screamed out her name, which was likely the sound the Japanese student had heard. Initially, Simon's story made perfect sense, and the evidence also seemed to fit. But it also raised an important question that was still unanswered. Why did Lisa carry her handbag over the railing? Forensic teams did not find Lisa's fingerprints on the balcony glass, though they did find Simon's. Giving the possible reasons for this, some experts said that if Lisa climbed using her handbag to clutch the railing, only smudges would be left behind. Simon's account of the incident would have saved him from a murder trial, had it not been for key witnesses who saw something that no one else did that morning. Joshua Rathmel, a young man, was also walking in front of the hide when he heard incoherent voices coming out of the 15th floor balcony of the apartment building.
That's what you saw on that day, please. Sure. To my perception, without a shirt on, carrying what I thought at the time was a black suitcase or bit of luggage or several items, and it looked to me as though he was unloading them, throwing them off. It was someone holding the black object and unloading it, almost in a rage.
Joshua did not see Lisa Harnum falling from her balcony, but he did see a crowd of people trying to resuscitate someone. He also joined the crowd, and soon after witnessed a man in his pajamas and white shirt come out of the building.
After what seemed like quite a while, definitely maybe 4 minutes, I would assume, a man in a white shirt and red pajamas pants came out and observed the body from a distance for a short while before going crouching next to it and speaking to the people trying to revive her.
After standing in the crowd for a while, Josh continued on to work, but when he saw the news of Lisa Harnum's death on the news, he contacted the police to share what he saw. A few days after Lisa and Simon got engaged, she wrote to her mother and said that she might be in love with Simon, but she also mentioned that he was suffocating and controlling. In September 2010, Lisa wrote in a text, "I miss my family and my friends so much. I have no life." Simon convinced Lisa to first quit her job at the saloon and then stopped her from working out at the public gym. As a result, her trainer had come to her apartment to train her. He also insisted that Lisa loved the beauty and fashion industry. She should wear standardized clothing that was bland and uniform-like. This included plain bottoms, preferable trousers, flat shoes, and nothing revealing. Her hair needed to be tied back, and she couldn't apply any makeup. Lisa Harnum's family later told the press that they clearly could see that Lisa had become isolated after meeting Simon, and she was nothing like her former self. However, Simon Gittany characterized his relationship with Lisa in a completely different way. He admitted to having disputes, but said they made compromises, and there was a lot of love and affection in their relationship. An audio file recorded on the 10th of June 2011, roughly a month before Lisa's death, contained a late-night conversation between Lisa and her fiancé. The file that was recorded secretly by Lisa gave a sneak peek into the couple's relationship.
I have nothing else to do in my life other than you. That's it. If I had my family here, you know what? I would spend half of my time with you and half of my time with my family. You know what I mean? I don't have anybody else.
You have me.
So when and I'm not trying to make you feel bad, Simon, but it hurts my feelings when you say the things to me. No, it's like I've never. You know what? Like I always wait at home for you. I do it like I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything without your permission, without asking you, without you being okay with everything, and I don't do anything other than whatever it is that you tell me to do. It's like, you know what? Honestly, Simon, sometimes the things you say to me can be really mean.
They're not meant to be mean. They're not meant to be mean.
They can be really mean
All
to
I'm
me,
saying
and
is because
I don't do anything intentionally to hurt your feelings. I don't do anything. Like I just love being with you. Like. The only time I ever speak to somebody is...
Did I not stick up for you today? Did I not fight for you?
You did, and I loved it, but...
And it's because I love you, Cecilia. I might not say it all the time, or I might not... you might not think it or feel it, or, even though we do have a beautiful relationship. But know that it is real and that I love you.
This conversation clearly shows Lisa wasn't happy with her partner's controlling nature. Similarly, a text from Simon to Lisa read, "Please don't let any guy talk to you, or please don't look at any guys, as your eyes should gaze only on me." Between Lisa and Simon's engagement and Lisa's death, there were signs that she wanted to get out of the relationship. Lisa packed up some of her belongings and gave them to her trainer, Lisa Brown, to keep them with her until she needed them. Then, on the morning of the 30th of July, Lisa locked herself in the bathroom and called her mother for help.
We didn't know at all to the extent that, how much he was tracking her. I just remember one time when she was home and he kept calling her, and just for her comment about, how does he always know where I am?
When Lisa was wondering about Simon knowing everything about her actions and movement, she was completely unaware that her partner had installed software on her computer and could track every single one of her calls, messages, emails, and online bookings no matter where she was. He had also installed a secret camera in the apartment to watch her movement, and the torn note in her pocket suggested she found out about these cameras only recently. It was because of these monitoring tools that Simon knew Lisa was planning to leave him. He had found out about Lisa giving her belongings to her trainer, her calls to her mother, and the tickets she had booked to Canada. Simon Gittany was charged with Lisa Harnum's murder and remained in custody. But in January 2012, a few months after his arrest, he was granted bail. He pleaded not guilty to charges and remained free on bond. But Simon's bail was revoked in November 2013, just before closing statements in his trial. The trial attracted heavy media coverage, and while Lisa's family and friends were the center of attention, there was another person too who grabbed the media's attention. Rachel Louise. The 23-year-old was Simon's new girlfriend. But Rachel's relationship wasn't as much in question as her resemblance to Lisa Harnum. Rachel remained extremely loyal to Simon throughout his trial. She attended every hearing and carried signs saying he was innocent. She also reportedly gave Simon $85,000 of her savings to fund his case. She then borrowed another $30,000 from his friends that was also spent on the case. However, despite these hefty contributions from Simon's new girlfriend, he was granted a judge-only trial because he told the court that he could not afford a defense for a full jury trial. Simon Gittany's trial began on the 21st of October 2013 and lasted for over 4 weeks. Simon's defense argued that the accused had nothing to do with Lisa Cecilia Harnum's death and that she intended to jump over the railing. His lawyers also told the court that Lisa did so because she was depressed. However, regardless of the fact that this argument didn't have a strong backing by evidence, there were some evident loopholes in the prosecution's case too. The glass railing on Simon's 15th floor apartment in the Hyde measured 1.2 meters, or roughly 4 feet in height. Simon was 169 centimeters and 5.5 feet tall. This suggested that he had lifted Lisa to a height higher than the railing. It would have been challenging. Lisa's weight was 50 kilos, or 110 pounds. Another question that was raised was if Simon was physically fit enough to lift his partner to that height and throw her over the railing, as per the prosecution's argument and the key witnesses, Joshua Rathmell's testimony. Simon's brother, Anthony Gittany, even recorded a video of him recreating the scene in an attempt to disprove the charges against Simon Gittany. Carrying Lisa to the balcony would also mean passing the treadmill and a potted plant in the bedroom. But both these items were undisturbed when the investigators first arrived in the apartment. The building's surveillance footage also suggested that Simon only briefly went back into his apartment after calling the lift and couldn't tidy up the scene in such a short time period if he had committed the crime. Some other questions were also raised, especially Lisa's physical state at the time, while the prosecution argued that Lisa had been rendered unconscious first and then dropped from the balcony. The neighbors' testimonies said that there had been cries in the hallway before Lisa's death, so there would have likely been signs of disturbance had there been any struggle between the couple. According to the neighbor's testimony and the time of the incident, there was roughly a minute between the cries in the hallway went silent and Lisa fell to her death. So Lisa was either unconscious during that time, or the couple agreed to settle down and talk things through. The autopsy report also did not find any signs of trauma except for the ones caused by the fall, which meant there was no evidence to suggest how Lisa had been knocked out if that was the case. Lisa's handbag was also with her, so it was also clear how an unconscious Lisa continued to hold on to it. All these considerations raised questions about the key witness's testimony that Simon had deliberately killed Lisa. The whole case against Simon Gittany was standing on Joshua's testimony because he was the only person to have witnessed what happened just before the fall. During the trial, Joshua agreed with the defense on one point, that the screams and seeing the shirtless man on the balcony happened in a very short period of time. He stated, "We are talking about a split second here. All I can confidently say is that the scream drew my attention straight away." He also agreed that there might be some doubt about the accuracy of his observation, considering how far he was from the building at the time of the incident. One thing was clear: Simon had been a submissive partner, and there had been some kind of disagreement between Lisa and Simon just before her fall. A dig into Simon's police record discovered that he had a violent past and was first arrested for assault as a teenager in 1991 when he confronted an ex-girlfriend's employer. Simon had been harassing her at work in Western Sydney shopping. He was also caught with stolen items in his car a few years later. Simon also assaulted 2 police detectives when they visited his house because he had failed to attend a court hearing. He bit off part of a detective's ear and was charged with maliciously wounding a law enforcement official. Lisa had no idea that she was living with a man who had been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, though he never served a full-time prison sentence because he convinced a sentencing judge that he had repented and planned to become a Catholic. Simon was allowed to go to France, but he returned shortly after, having abandoned his faith. In the following years, he was also arrested for charges relating to drug supply, found guilty, and was sentenced to 3 years of periodic detention. When Lisa moved in with him in 2009, he had been running a shoe importation business named Shoe Candy and was a successful businessman. While delivering her verdict, the judge found Simon Gittany reacted with rage when he discovered that Lisa had removed some of her belongings. Joshua Rathmell's testimony was deemed credible, despite a defense expert testifying his recollection of the event was likely a false memory. Simon's own testimony was described as unconvincing, like a person playing a role. The judge said that Simon's version of the events fit evidence like a checkbox exercise, but his story about what had taken place lacked personal interactions and details. The defense's claim that Lisa had tendencies towards suicide and self-harm was also rejected. Simon Gittany was found guilty of murdering his partner, Lisa Cecilia Harnum, while his new girlfriend, Rachel Louise, yelled at the judge, "You're freaking wrong." He was sentenced to a minimum of 18 years and a maximum of 26 years in prison. Simon filed an appeal against the verdict, but lost in 2016. He will not be eligible for parole until 2031. Joanne Harnum and Lisa's other family members were also present in Australia throughout the trial. After the verdict, Lisa's mother talked about her legacy. "We will always mourn the loss of our beautiful Lisa Cecilia, and are working towards making her legacy a powerful wake-up call to young women and to parents, siblings, and friends of these women to be aware of the warning signs of a controlling relationship and to take a proactive approach to assisting them."